Hello? Hello? Alright. Let me, you know what? I'll edit in post. Hello, YouTube world. My name is Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have you back together again. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something very fun. We are doing a Lion King tier list in honor of of Mufasa the Lion King coming out in theaters. I thought it would be a perfect time to rank the entire Lion King franchise. And this will be an interesting franchise because before, there were some projects that I wasn't as big of a fan of before, but I don't know if it's because the 30 years have hit me with The Lion King, but honestly, a lot of the stuff is kind of hitting me in the feels. So, with that said, let's just go on and get started ranking it. Alright, so if you don't know what the Lion King franchise includes, hold up. It includes The Lion King, Timon and Pumbaa show, Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, The Lion King 1.5, The Lion Guard, Return of the Roar, The Lion Guard show, The Lion King 2019, and Mufasa the Lion King. So that is all we have to talk about today. So let's start this list nice and easy with the original, the one that kicked off this entire amazing Disney franchise. Walt Disney Animation Studios, The Lion King. This, in my opinion, is one of the greatest pieces of animation that Disney has personally ever made. Before I start talking about it, let's just put it straight up in that A tier. Oh, my bad. It is just The Lion King is just, the original Lion King is just pure perfection. I just loved everything of the way they did this animation style in really bringing Africa to life, to where every time you see these gorgeous skies or tons of clouds, you think of the ghost of Mufasa. You think of the beautiful sun and all the animals. When you think of Africa, you think of this movie. But the other thing that makes it work so well is with the circle of life. This movie introduces us to that in depth and how it works, and that there are certain things we need to do in order to keep the circle of life in balance. Otherwise, things could go terribly wrong, which is also why we cannot have people like Scar running the Pride Lands. And so that works. But at the same time, the movie also does a great job of doing a story about a father and son, and which I think was very interesting. To where you have this son who is a prince, and he's excited about doing all of these things, but at the same time, he doesn't know what he's going to get into. And as he gets older, he learns responsibility. And to me, that story just works. But at its core, the music, the score from Hans Zimmer is fantastic. The songs in here are amazing. The characters are memorable. And while it has its fair share of happy moments, it also has its fair share of some sad moments and stuff that I wasn't really expecting as much. So this movie nails it every single time. And I went to go see this in the theater this past summer, and it was absolutely amazing. And yeah, Lion King, it's perfect. Pure perfection. One of the best movies ever made. Then we get the Timon and Pumbaa show. And coming out a year after The Lion King... Hold on. So, I think the Timon and Pumbaa show... I said in the beginning of this stream that I would be positive on mostly everything Lion King based in this review, in this video. This is probably the only project I'm going to be a little bit negative on, because I wasn't a really big fan of it. It's not that it was a bad show, it just wasn't really my thing. It's going to go in D. And the reason why I say that is because while I think Timon and Pumbaa are a fun duo to watch on screen, I mean, they're some of the best parts in Lion King. I don't know how I like when they are the main characters of their own TV show. To me, some of it just kind of feels a little off. They're going to human places. I feel like all of the stuff, like there's some stuff that kind of works. That's kind of funny. But other than that, this movie has nothing. This show has nothing to offer, to be honest. So I was not a fan of it. None of the characters are memorable. Some of the hyenas make appearances in the show. The show was just kind of weird. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. Then we have The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. This is one that I would actually say is very good. I'm actually going to put this in the B tier. It's really good. Of course, the animation is not on par with the first film. But I think what this movie does really well is it actually comes up with a new type. It creates a new type of story that in this universe where the first film was based off of Hamlet, so now they're basing the sequel based off of Romeo and Juliet. I think that's kind of smart in the way they did that. And now, obviously, the whole Kovu and Kiara stuff, it's a little bit weird because, you know, they're brothers and sisters. They're most likely cousins at this point, if you think about it, because he looks so much like Scar. But I really appreciated the idea of that there's this pride of lions that were supporters of Scar. I think that's an interesting idea, and Zira is a powerful villain, and you can kind of see and how she kind of cost one of her own son's lives. And it wasn't technically Simba's fault, it was her fault, because she forced him on it. So, yeah, it's kind of her bad doing. But I like the message of We Are One, that why should we judge other lions based off of the actions they did not commit? Which I thought was very interesting. I wish they dived a little more deeper into that, but I still thought it was a really good sequel. And also the music in here is very good, and I really enjoyed it. We Are One, Upendi, He Lives in You, He is Not One of Us. Yeah, this movie rocks. It definitely has good stuff in it. Then we have The Lion King 1.5. The idea of basically having Timon and Pumbaa do, like, their own movie, their own retrospective, and basically saying they're in every scene of The Lion King, I think is a little weird, if I'm not going to lie. Now, there's some things that are kind of, like the fact that it's Pumbaa that causes all the animals to bow to Mufasa. That's kind of crazy, but funny. But, like, that's honestly insane. I will say, this movie starts getting really good when we start getting into the stuff with him and Simba. When we start getting with them in Simba, when they adopt Simba, I think all of that stuff actually really works well. And especially, like, when you have Timon and teenage Simba, you know, slurping down snails, like, all that stuff was really fun to watch. Or even them trying to stop Simba and Olive from falling in love, or even stopping the hyenas back at Pride Rock, I thought was kind of fun. And so, yeah, there's some fun to be had in here, but it is not even close to being a great movie. I'll put it in C. It's a C movie. Then we have The Lion Guard, Return of the Roar, and The Lion Guard show. So we have The Lion Guard movie and The Lion Guard show. Where would I put the movie? I'm going to put it in the C tier, just because I don't think the movie is on par with the other projects. I think it's a good introduction to all these characters. I think it's an okay story. It's fun to be back in this world, but it's kind of it's a little bit new and fresh of a story that, like, okay, we're in the Pride Lands again. Kion and the Bunga the Honey Badger are traveling through the Pride Lands and stuff like that. What are we doing here? And realizes we're getting a new type of story, and this is the way they do it. it was a little bit shocking at first because we're not really doing anything, you know, to protect the king. So, you know, it's a little bit different at first, but that's what kind of makes it a little unique from the other Lion King projects. So I put it for C tier. Um, but now we have the Lion Guard show, and I'm actually going to be real honest with you here. I love this show. I think it's actually one of the best projects that Disney for The Lion King has ever made. And fun fact, you're actually going to go in the A tier. This show brought back The Lion King in such a fantastic way possible that they created this idea of what if there was a team of animals that protected the Pride Lands and defended the Circle of Life. Basically something that the king can already do, but 10 times better. And having all these great villains coming in and fighting jackals, vultures, hyenas, and crocodiles, and all this great stuff. It's trying to stop floods from happening, trying to stop mudslides, all this great stuff. But the other thing that really worked about this series that we'll get into, that we talk about, that happens in the first season, is like we learn about the different animals' forms of government and how they work and what are their ways of living. I thought that was really interesting. Now, I will say the first season is a little kind of rough to get through sometimes because some of the characters some of the animals that are introduced in there, they're a little bit unlikable. But that is the brilliance of season 2 that I think did awesome, as the Lion Guard in that season are dealing with so much more stressful things. They're dealing with the dry season. They're dealing with all the Outlanders working together and teaming up on each other. And they're dealing with the threat of the return of Scar. And so therefore, they have to find a way to come together. And so basically, all the characters you hated in season 1, they have redemptive arcs in season 2. And they all work together to save the Pride Lands. And it's awesome. And the reveals in here and the way that they play this out, it is brilliant. And then we get in season 3, which I was a little disappointed that we're not really in the Pride Lands as much, though I understand why we are not in there as much. It feels a little off at times. Like, I did like the way they actually retconned it into be in The Lion King 2. I thought that was cool. And I also really like that we got to explore, you know, different landscapes of wildlife from all these different places. And we even got to see the Tree of Life. I thought that was really cool. And it still offered some nice stuff, I guess. So, I still love the show. I still think it's pretty great. And yeah, it's one of the best things that Disney's ever made. And I truly miss it, and I hope they bring it back one day. And then we have The Lion King 2019. I think that this is a great remake. Now, I'm going to put this one in the B category. Now, I'm not going to argue that this movie is perfect. I put it in the B tier. It's not even close to being as good as the original. I'm not even going to lie to tell you that this movie is well written and it's better than The Lion King, because it's not. Do I agree with some of the emotional expressions? No. I don't agree with some of it. I can agree that sometimes it's a little bit frustrating to tell what these characters are feeling, even though it's the same story. I can understand certain performances don't work as much, and certain scenes don't work as much. But there's some things I can't agree with, is that the visuals in this movie are gorgeous. Some of the updated scores from Hans Zimmer are fantastic, and I also liked some of the new performances in the characters. Timon and Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen as Timon and Pumbaa were excellent as Timon and Pumbaa. The new people that played the hyenas were excellent. I found them to be a lot more scarier in this one. John Oliver as Zazu, hilarious, very funny. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar, so frightening, so very powerful. Loved him in the performance. However, I was really disappointed with what they did with Mufasa and Simba and Nala. It's like I couldn't buy their performances, to be honest. And especially Mufasa, who is being played once again by James Earl Jones, rest his soul. They butchered him in this movie. And that's kind of why I wanted a 2D animated Mufasa movie, because we're making a story about one of the greatest Disney characters of all time, but we're basing it off the remake version, which I did not like the Mufasa version in the remake. I was like, why are we doing that one? Like, I like the animated version of Mufasa. And it just felt a little weird at times. And, like, to be clear, there's some moments with Mufasa that are kind of powerful, especially when his score is playing. But I do not like the way they did his character. It's so weird. And, Nala, Beyonce, just was kind of weird. Even especially during Can You Feel the Love Tonight, I feel like just was so emotionless. Like, I did not feel the love between Simba and Nala. It's not even just because their voices were bad. It was just kind of like, as much Beyonce and Donald Glover can have good voice work, they're not. It was hard to buy them as Simba and Nala. It was really hard. Some other positives in the film, and also I enjoyed seeing the story again, but in live action. There was just something just kind of fun about that, and sometimes I get chills even watching this. So, there you go. And finally, we have Mufasa the Lion King. And you guessed it, after my review, I think it's pretty great. And I'm actually going to put this one in the B category. I was going to put it in the A, but I feel like the issues that I have with it have diminished it to be in the A tier. But on the positives, I think that this movie pretty much did exactly what it wanted to do, where it told the story of Mufasa pretty great in giving him a great arc and how he's supposed to be and why he deserves to be king. All the characters were pretty fleshed out well. Zazu was fun to see. I liked seeing a younger Rafiki. I thought seeing a younger version of Taka and Sarabi was kind of cool. Heroes was a pretty frightening villain. Had those isms of Scar in the original Lion King and Zira. The visuals in here are gorgeous. The music in here, I think, is actually pretty good. I don't care what anyone says. It's gained on me. I know it doesn't feel like Lion King music, but it actually does kind of work. It fits with what this version of the story is telling. I think it works. There's probably a few missteps in the way it is, but I already said about it in my review. My only problem with this movie of why it's in the B tier is because I think this movie has a bit of a pacing problem. And that there's certain things in this movie that kind of feel unfinished, that could be stretched out a little more. Or certain things that I would like to see, but we never got to see. Or characters I would like to see, but we never got to see. But other than that, this movie's great. I would definitely say it's one of the better Disney live-action remakes. And that's where I'm going to put that. And that is it. That's my tier list for the Lion King franchise. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.